CARICOM was supposed to strengthen the region of the Caribbean. So why does it feel like a rum shop show? Because not a lot of things seem to be happening. There seems to be a lot of talking happening amongst these leaders, but not a lot of action. There also seems to be big promises which they want for the Caribbean people, but again, not a lot of action. And what really needs to take place is action, is the Caribbean islands coming together, coming up with solutions which are going to benefit their people. And one of the reasons why I think there hasn't been a lot of solutions is, first of all, not a lot of people actually care about the organization in particular. And another thing is too, there is a lot of corruption still taking place within the Caribbean, and I think this is hindering their growth. So I think one of the solutions which really need to happen is they just need to remodel the whole way that CARICOM actually works, and then hopefully that will be able to benefit the people even more and make initiatives actually be able to happen. But I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below.
Trinidad, oh Trinidad. Listen, in my last blog I said that Trinidad was on lockdown, but that is not correct. Trinidad is not on lockdown. They have called a state of emergency, which gives the police power to search without warrant and some other powers, but they're not on lockdown. But they might as well be, because right now they're experiencing high crime with 620 murders for the year so far. And listen, this is unacceptable. What we have is, we have weak leadership throughout the Caribbean. Because let me tell you something, not just only Trinidad, St. Lucia had the same problem. They had to shut down schools the other day. And we have in the Bahamas, where we have high murder rate. A young 12-year-old was just raped and murdered and killed in the Bahamas. And so from Trinidad to the Bahamas, Jamaica to St. Lucia, we all got the same problem. Weak leadership. We need to execute these criminals, because we got to stop playing with them, because the criminals don't play. When I told you all I got robbed at gunpoint in Trinidad, I was on my way to Chaguaramas, and everybody knows Chaguaramas is a nice place to be. And you know, this gunman was in the street, stopped the vehicle, and 6 armed men came out of the bushes and they surrounded our vehicles. It was some of my friends. They surrounded our vehicles, including a retarded man. It wasn't funny at the time, but you have a retarded man with a gun knocking on the bar, with a gun. It wasn't funny at the time, but you had a retarded man with a gun in Trinidad robbing us. Yes, they got away with a lot of stuff, but listen, the point I'm trying to make is that we are weak in the Caribbean. We allow the proliferation of guns, the proliferation of drugs, and we get these gang festering. We need to execute these gunmen and let them know that we are not playing with them. The problem is, we got these weak, jellyback, spineless leaders who we elect, who don't know nothing about running countries, but all they want to do is get elected. The people suffer. We live in fear. We are afraid. Right now, I have not gone back to Trinidad ever since. I love Trinidad and Tobago. Love it, love it, love it. But I have not gone back since, because I was in fear for my life. 6 armed men with guns. And so let me tell you something. These prime ministers of the Caribbean, stop being weak. Stop being jellyback. Stop being sissies and execute these criminals. We worry too much about what the United Nations say. They don't give a damn about us. They care more about killing children than they care about protecting the lives of innocent people. So I don't listen to them. I don't listen to the United Nations. I don't listen to them, because they're a bunch of hypocrites. We need to set a standard in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is a paradise, and we will not allow our country to fester and be turned over to guns and gangs and violence. We will execute them criminals in 2025. Trinidad, St. Lucia, Bahamas, you all get it together.
In some news this morning, and I am not surprised at all, Attorney Ram Logan questions government's handling of old currency notes. Senior counsel Anand Ram Logan has raised concerns over the treatment of older Trinidad and Tobago banknotes, arguing that citizens should not be unfairly disadvantaged by policy decisions affecting legal tender.
What did you say?
Comments come amid ongoing public discussion about currency changes, including the phased introduction of new banknotes featuring the country's updated coat of arms. The central bank has indicated that older notes will remain legal tender during a transition period and will be withdrawn gradually rather than immediately. Ram Logan reportedly questioned whether adequate public consultation and notice were provided to citizens, particularly those who may still hold older notes. He maintained that any currency transition must protect the interests of ordinary people and avoid creating unnecessary hardship. The issue has generated public debate as Trinidad and Tobago prepares to introduce a new series, 2026 $100 note, while allowing existing notes to remain in circulation during the changeover. Now, I know that this was going to come because this is definitely not about ordinary people. This is about people who have a lot of money in the old notes and they couldn't bring them out at a particular point in time. Yeah, so we know that this was coming. One of the main agendas of the government for getting back in power, to have persons with those millions to put it back into circulation. Financial experts are already indicating that this is definitely not a good move at all. And again, what can we say? I'm not surprised. So we'll definitely keep paying attention to this one amongst others, yeah, and bring you updates as soon as we have them. So make sure and stay tuned. If you are not following the page, make sure and do so. If you like the video, like it and share it. Take care.
Kamala just declared war on CARICOM. Not with weapons, but with a checkbook, and she's threatening to close. So, CARICOM held its 50th Heads of Government meeting in St. Kitts and Nevis. Trinidad and Tobago sent their people, and the agenda was circulated. But one thing that did not happen at that meeting was the official agenda for the reappointment of the Secretary General, Carla Bennett. Then came the CARICOM retreat. It was a closed-door session separate from any formal meeting. And it was there, away from the plenary and away from official records, that the decision was made to reappoint Carla Bennett. Problem arises now because Trinidad and Tobago's authorized representatives were not allowed into the retreat. He says that this can't happen. Article 24 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas is very explicit, and it says that the reappointment of the Secretary General requires formal consideration by the full conference of heads of government. Decision cannot be made in a retreat or in a side room. It needs to happen at the full conference. So Trinidad did what they're supposed to do. They wrote letters to the CARICOM chairman, Terence Drew, and also to Bennett herself, asking one simple question: how did this happen? However, there was no response. Now Kamala's drawing a line. Trinidad and Tobago funds a significant share of the CARICOM budget, and she says plainly, if you won't explain yourself to people paying your bills, then maybe the bills would stop coming. Because this was never really about one appointment. It's about whether regional institutions follow their own rules or whether the rules only exist on paper. And for me, it's so disheartening to see this lackluster approach to very, very serious business. Because you know that in the Caribbean, we have this way about ourselves that we just like to do whatever we want. But this cannot be when it comes to official business like this in the CARICOM. Because CARICOM was built on an equal voice and agreed process. The moment decisions get made in back rooms, away from the treaty, away from the table, it stops being a regional body. It becomes a club, and not everyone's invited. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe Kamala is right in considering to defund the CARICOM, or do you think she should take another approach? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us and like the video if you want to keep updated with the economics of the Caribbean.
Almost to the point where I am convinced that some of our leaders are numb to what's going on. They live in a different world. They don't work where we work. They don't go and shop where we shop. They don't walk
socialize.
The streets
they don't know. And they ain't see what's happening. Okay, well, because they ain't here.
Well, if that is
but why do you think some of them are appearing to have a blind eye or have on, you know, how horse they put bits on?
I'll say it this way. Paulo Freire says no one speaks against a system they benefit from. As much violence as we see in our country, Shani, some bodies are benefiting from it. And when you start commodifying people and you will do anything for money, that man or that woman is without a soul. That's someone whose conscience has been seared. We're dealing with some hardcore people who are numb to what it means to life. What we are dealing with are the little people on the road, the masterminds and the puppet masters sitting behind offices, dressed up in suits. Their diction is impeccable. The syntactical value of sentence concord is on point. They're speaking in the clearest and most coherent language available, but they are the most evil-driven people in the country. And what we see metastasizing in our street, they're just the foot soldiers.
A very prominent business leader, Caribbean business leader, and he was pointing out that the relationship between businesses and government across the Caribbean, it is not always one of partnership or cooperation. Sometimes it can be very combative. I am happy to say, and no one should contradict me, that the relationship between business and government in Jamaica is good. It is one of great cooperation. I certainly have taken the stance that business is not the enemy, that we should not make business people feel as if they are exploiters, that we must support our business people, we must promote entrepreneurism, we must celebrate people who make profit, and we must celebrate people who make profit and give back even more. We must see businesses as integral to the growth of our country. The greatest mistake is to believe that government can grow the economy. Government can't grow the economy. The economy is grown by businesses. I know that Jamaica has suffered from a long conceptual framework that somehow businesses have led to an unequal distribution of income and wealth in the country. If we are to cross the threshold to become a developed country, to become a growing country, we must dispense with that view. The core of the Jamaican culture is competition. That is the core of any business economy. We have that natural core in our people. And what we must do is to prepare the track very well, get out of the way, set the rules, and train the runners. As we do for athletics, let us do it for business. So that was not in my script. Just sharing with you some thoughts.
To the leaders of the Caribbean who take sides with Donald Trump, know this: Donald Trump is not your friend. He doesn't care about you, your people, your history, your culture, or your future. He never has, and he never will. This is the man who called our country's shithole. The same man who built his power by stirring up fear, division, and racism. Every time you side with Trump, you send a message that the Caribbean can be bought, and that our ancestors died for nothing. But our people are watching, and history will remember you. We are sovereign. We are proud. We are the Caribbean.
The Prime Minister said that Mark Golding has promised to use $1 billion and give $500,000 as a deposit, and that will benefit 2,000 people. And he's having a problem with that. He reasons that there are 40,000 people between the ages of 18 to 40 that needs a house, and that would only benefit 2,000. But because the Labourite them never used to pay attention in a class, we're going to teach them something tonight. Because I look at thing I go on in Jamaica where they don't spit them down the front and I behave like a them around the thing. And we are going to put the dunce them round our back. The first thing is that it is 2,000 persons per year that would benefit. So So in 5 years, which is the term of office, it would be 10,000 young persons under the age of 35 that would get a grant, not a loan, of $500,000 towards a deposit for them to purchase a house. Why is the Prime Minister fighting against the young people of Jamaica? He goes further and he asks, how will you decide who will benefit? This is the same Prime Minister that has said that we need 8,000 social houses. But in 8 years in office, he has only built 300 of those houses. I would like to ask him, how is it that he has only built 4% of that, but him have a problem with our plan that would address 25% of the houses that the young people need? And I want to ask him further, how did he choose the beneficiaries for the social houses where him a build? Because if you are no labor right, you can't get them the local house where him a build. Under the next PNP government, young people, old people, whoever you are, will be able to own a home and live in dignity.
I am Zara Burton, representing today America's Quarterly. I wanted to ask about the engagement of the gangs. The gangs, of course, controlling a lot of Haiti at this point. Has this group, in consultation with the Transitional Council, addressed the issue of how to engage or not engage the gangs? That's one. Two, on the issue of security, there was a commitment today from the United States for $300 million. It was upped from $100 million. I wanted to find out if there were additional commitments, because we heard from Mexico, we heard from France today a little bit. Just wanted to find out if there were any specific monies committed additional to what the United States committed in terms of the security effort, and also whether any CARICOM countries are committing any funds. Also, three, last question. I wanted to find out if, on the issue of security, again, the deployment of troops, we know Kenya, Benin, Jamaica, I think Bahamas as well. Are there any timelines in terms of when we will see troop deployment from any of these, either CARICOM nations or African nations? Any timelines that you can give us?
Well, first of all, as I said, the security matter is a very sensitive matter. The security matter involves, as you spoke about, financing, deployment of troops. All of these matters came up in parallel meetings today. I would go as far as saying we are in discussion with many stakeholders, many partners, on what their contribution and role will be, but I will not go further than that at this stage. To go further than that at this stage will be doing an injustice to the conversation that is ongoing. Yes. Yeah. We had an increase in from Canada, and we also are in conversations. And I can't go beyond that at this stage. We are in conversations. You know, one of the things about this region, if you look at per capita, the contribution that this region makes to international humanity, in times of crisis and times of need, you'll be shocked to see on a per capita basis what our contribution is globally. We have a small population within the region, but one thing about this region is that we never shy away from our responsibilities and participating in creating a better space within this region. So I am sure that whatever is affordable within the construct of our economies, that our region would make the contribution that we need to make.
But with all due respect, Mr. President, you are very rich now in Guyana, getting a lot of money from oil. So I was wondering if you are particularly interested in making more investments in Haiti than
Well, I'm very happy for your statement that we are very rich. I wish if that Eventually will be. Eventually, I'm telling you, eventually we will. And I've said this I've made this loud and clear. The prosperity of Guyana will be the prosperity of this region. And I can't say it louder than that. And again, if you want to know how committed we are, recall the hurricane in Grenada. Prime Minister Gonzalez can tell you in his recent time of crisis how Guyana responded. We will. Guyana definitely will play a part. We will play a part. We are not going to shy away from being a part of helping sister CARICOM state, Haiti.
Recently, Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, actually said that Jamaica could become the next Singapore and Dubai of the Caribbean. But honestly, I just can't understand and comprehend these comparisons, what the Prime Minister is honestly saying. Because first of all, Dubai built a lot of their wealth today from oil, which Jamaica doesn't seem to have, and also of modern day slavery and the exploitation of people from Asia and Africa. So why would you want to replicate that system? And for Singapore, they actually built a lot of their wealth because of economic progress and also political progress. And one thing which I would say about Dubai and Singapore is that the Western nations favor them. Let's not forget that also Jamaica is a majority black country, and it's still tied to a lot of the colonial systems which are hindering the growth for what Jamaica could potentially have. One thing which I actually do agree with is that Jamaica does actually have a very strategic location for trade, and this actually means that it could benefit them as a nation, similar to how it's benefit Singapore. But also in 2023, Andrew Holness was the same person who said that Jamaica could become the next Miami. So there seems to be a lot of talking, but not a lot of action which is taking place. And honestly, there needs to be action, because there's a lot of corruption also within the government in Jamaica. And of course, we want the people to be able to benefit from these things, but it's going to take a lot and it's not going to be easy. But I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And where do you think Jamaica could actually be within the next 10 years?
President Mahama, the people of the Caribbean have come to join hands. We in CARICOM have been fighting now for virtually a decade on this issue of reparations. And we believe that this effort to bring all of our global partners here together in Accra will allow for this too to be regarded as a historic moment. We live in a world today where people call out people for everything, but yet we have not found the moral courage to state unanimously across humanity that this grave crime against humanity that persisted for centuries ought to be declared so by all. That others choose to remain silent is a reflection of them, not of us. There are others who say that there's been slavery before, but ours was the only one to declare us as chattel and as property. I stand here today on behalf of the government and people of Barbados, conscious that our duty is to repair, and our duty is to call for others to repair. Regrettably, our parliament was the first parliament to establish the 1661 Slave Code, 2 decades before the Code Noir, which has just been repealed in France. That slave code came to be mimicked, copied exactly in some of the colonies of the United States of America and the Caribbean, and in others used as a platform for their own slave laws. It is the categorization of us as subhuman. It is the categorization of us as chattel, as property, that stripped us of our dignity first and foremost, but equally removed from us the choices that are necessary in life to truly express freedom. we have come to ask that those efforts be coordinated in such a way such that we can bring healing to our population. I believe that our working together with the CARICOM 10-point plan on reparatory justice, which has been revised and which we have brought some copies here to share in Accra, will add to the excellent work which you are doing and the establishment of the committees that will carry on the work for our people. These committees, however, will only mean something if we can stay together united and not allow division yet again to be the anchor for those who want to win against us. Almost 70 years ago, in this country, Ghana, you summoned the world to join you as you embarked on the journey of nationhood and independence. Today, in 2026, President Mahama, you have summoned us again to join you. And we, the children of Africa and its diaspora, are clear as to our responsibility and are clear that even though journeys are not always finished by the same people, even though battles are not won by those sometimes who started, that our duty nevertheless must be resolute and our commitment and solidarity unshakable. I have every confidence that we will come to understand that the union of Africa and the Caribbean can bring prosperity and stability to our people.
How are you, the people of the Caribbean island? You are so amazing. I thank you so much for your support and love. So in today's video, I want us to talk about CARICOM politics, CARICOM leaders who are facing very, very tough questions since the Caribbean citizens are actually demanding for stronger leadership in the CARICOM. So welcome back to this amazing channel. And as I told you, I want to talk about the Caribbean island. Caribbean island consists of so many other islands: Barbados, Bahamas, Venezuela, Jamaica, TNT. So as you can see, the region is already a region full of culture, a region full of talent, and a region with strong people. But again, these many strong people are asking if CARICOM is delivering the leadership that the people need. Because you see, across the entire Caribbean island, people are raising a lot of concerns. They are asking about trade, I mean how they are trading with each other. They are asking about crime things. They are asking about immigration, like can they easily move from one point to another by use of an identity card only? About crime, is crime reducing? They are asking about the economy, the cost of things and the cost of living. So many questions. Another one is they are asking where is the stronger regional action, because you see the challenges that are facing the Caribbean islands are no longer only national. They affect all of them, not just one particular island. And as you all know, a problem in one island can easily and quickly affect another island. For instance, crime, migration, economic pressures, or high cost of living, climatic changes. All of these, they require good cooperation between these countries so that they can actually move forward together. So as you can see, CARICOM is this particular block that was basically created to bring countries together. And it was also created to strengthen unity. It was created to, help each and every Caribbean person to be in a place whereby they can intermarry, they can move from one point to another very easily, to be doing business together easily. So many of these people, they want to know, and they also want to see more results, not just meetings, promises. They just want action results, So today, as I told you, I want us to talk about the bigger question that is facing the Caribbean, the CARICOM leaders. That is regional cooperation, so many questions on that. Trade, so many questions on that. Security, so many questions on that. Immigration, so many questions on that, and also the economy. So let's start by talking about the regional cooperation, because the idea behind CARICOM itself, it was to enable small nations to work together. Regional cooperation, small nations to work together, or all these islands under the CARICOM body to work together. If you are united, if you are stronger, all these are amazing things that are able to benefit you positively in one way or the other. So as much as the body was actually created to see all these things, a united voice, a stronger Caribbean future, and people are not seeing that, then they ask and they are wondering, like, how united is the region? Really. Because for so many years, we have seen leaders talking about integration. We have seen them talking about working together. We have seen them talking about removing barriers, building one Caribbean market. And they've always been ambitious over and over, but the pace that is being applied in order to achieve that has frustrated many people. And now the Caribbean people are asking, why is it that it is still very difficult for any Caribbean person to move? Why is it that when I want to move from Jamaica to TNT, like it's a lot of process? And so it's just like almost impossible, yet they're in the same region. It's also still very expensive to travel across the islands, and businesses are still struggling to expand regionally. Like they're able to expand within the island, but not across the border. And you see, these are questions that are very fair to be asked, because at the end of the day, they're meant to benefit everybody. So unity is not only about flags, guys. If you know, now you know. It's also about the life that we live daily. Like, for instance, is it possible for a student to easily study in another Caribbean country? And is it possible that a skilled worker is able to find opportunities across the region? And is it possible that a business can actually go past or trade without unnecessary obstacles from another island? So these are the things that the Caribbean people feel the CARICOM leaders, should put it in a necessary manner, because at the end of the day, they are there to benefit all of them, not just one person. So we agree, because individually, small Caribbean islands in the CARICOM, they face huge pressures. But if they work together, they'll have a stronger voice, and these challenges that they have been arguing about will turn into agreements, then into reality. And what people want now is just implementation, results, nothing else. They want timelines. If you are going to do ABCD by this month, then it should be by that month. And they also want, a progress that moves on, a moving progress, not a stagnant progress. Because a stagnant progress will mean that, they're just talking and talking and talking. So the Caribbean island is mostly known strongly for music, for food, for culture and history. So as you can see, or feel, many people want that. You see, the leaders need to unite politically, so that at least they can bring all these things easily. If you talk about trade, one island being able to transact with another island easily, that's one thing that most people are dreaming for. They just want that, because that will mean that they'll actually cross borders, unlike them expanding within the country. So I don't know if you ever noticed that Caribbean islands, most of them, they do import goods, they do import food, energy, tech, as equipments, camera products, not camera, consumer products. And also, if you import like too much, it will create a vulnerability in your market, and that will mean that if global prices rises, then it's going to be felt up to the point whereby these things are exported to or imported. So if the region CARICOM can actually be in a position to produce for itself, then that will mean that it's one of the best thing. As you can see, CARICOM leaders have been pushing for stronger economic integration and more regional trade. So this in itself is very, very powerful, you see, because that will mean that they want a bigger Caribbean market, and they want more businesses in that particular market, and that will mean more Caribbean products. But again, businesses, most of the time, they do face a lot of obstacles like transportation costs, different regulations, limited connections, high expense rate. Imagine a company in probably Jamaica is in a position to struggle to reach consumers in another island, probably Trinidad and Tobago. That limits growth like in a very huge percentage. So what the Caribbean people want is that if they are able to buy, goods from one particular point, or the next one and the next one and the next one, it will be really, really good. So they're asking, why is it that Caribbean islands are still buying so much from outside, when in itself the region has good farmers, the region has entrepreneurs and manufacturers. I mean, food security has always become a major conversation. Yet in these particular islands, they have very good climate. In fact, they have tropical something like that. They are in a position to plant food, and they can actually come together and say that in this particular island, focus on this, that island, focus on that, and then do things together, and they'll actually achieve so much. So this particular CARICOM region has already seen how global disruptions can affect supplies. So if more production comes into place, then that will mean more resilience, and the people will actually benefit. So if this particular one requires investments, then that will be it. They love to invest in it, they love to plan, and the leaders and also everyone, they just need to work together, leaders and business people, because you see, trade is not just about money. Trade is also about independence. If the CARICOM is able to depend on itself, then it will be one of the best things in the world, because it's all about creating opportunities for the young people. It's all about keeping wealth inside the region. If you import, that will mean that you are actually promoting another country, and that is not the case. So security is another big issue that concerns so many people across the entire Caribbean island. So many families, they worry about crime, they worry about their safety, they worry about their future. And I can honestly tell you that this is one of the issues that the regional cooperation has to come into place, and talk about it, so that they can be in a position to get rid of this crime, because crime in itself does not always stop at the border. If you go into the next island, that's what you're going to face, definitely. So if countries and for instance, if there are organized criminal networks that operate probably in this across the country or across the island, then it's probably not. It's not going to be easy to fight these alone. You will require support from other islands, and that in this case is the military wise, so you cannot fight this challenge alone, and therefore that is why CARICOM comes in place, because you see, for long CARICOM has been working on regional security strategies through agencies that focus on crime and security operation. So if they work together, I can tell you that they're going to end that particular issue of insecurity in the Caribbean island, because I understand most Caribbean islands they face that particular issue, insecurity. But again, if you see the people of Caribbean islands, they want to know this type of strategies, how they're working, and how the communities will be safer, and how the young people will get opportunities also, because you see, security is one factor that is not only about enforcement, it's about prevention also, and that will in turn mean that jobs will come in education, and the community will develop. So people want leaders to address the causes behind crime also, not only the consequences but the reasons behind the crime. And these people in the Caribbean island, they face outside pressures. And you see, if you look at the CARICOM in itself, it sits in a strategic location whereby global powers have interests there, and that in that case creates a complicated choice for most of these leaders, because you see, the citizens, they want security and they also want independence, but again, you see them wanting decisions that protect Caribbean interests. I mean, it's a very tricky situation here. Immigration, that is moving from one island to another, is another issue that has always been a concern in this case. Moving from probably TNT, Jamaica, Bahamas, Barbados, because people not only move for travel work or working, they want to build lives across these islands. And CARICOM's free movement goals that is in place, they are designed to make this particular region to be easy in terms of mobility. But the main challenge that comes in when it comes to this particular point is that many of these people, they are saying that this system, it needs improvement, because they feel like there is no fairness, and that is why they want clarity. And they want better coordination also. Not that they say that you're free to move from point A to point B, but when you're crossing the border, then other rules and restrictions comes in. So at the same time, many of these governments, they really have to manage the border security, because they have to balance movement with safety. Migration is not like it's a simple issue. It involves also jobs, housing, healthcare, education, national security, and most of the questions that the Caribbean people ask these leaders is, how do they create a Caribbean where people can move and also succeed, not just move without creating new problems. And you see, that particular balance requires a very strong leadership. As high cost of living is something that faces most of these particular people, and most of them, they want jobs, lower cost of goods, opportunities also. And you see, most of the Caribbean islands economies, they depend heavily on tourism. Tourism is a very, very important economic activity there. But if you look at what the people are asking is, as much as tourism is being supported, what else is the government planning to build for them? Are they going to invest enough in technology, agriculture, or probably innovation, or supporting the young people? Because at the end of the day, the region is really, really good, and it's also being funded, because CARICOM in itself, it will mean that most of these countries, they have to chip in financially. So whether the systems are strong enough to support that or not, this economic pressure is real because high cost of living affects everybody. Debt affects government, global changes affect small economies, and that is why the regional cooperation is very, very important and it matters a lot. Because if you come together and you combine strongly, then these markets that you are going to create will probably create more opportunities. But again, you see people asking, like, they really want leadership that can move from discussion to delivery, results oriented people. So I don't know what you've learned from this particular video. For me, I will say that I've learned so much. And the bigger question that we should be actually asking here is if CARICOM leaders can actually meet this moment, I don't know what you think about that. The Caribbean in itself, the island has its own challenges, but again, it has its own incredible potentials. The people there are very creative, they are very resilient, they have super awesome ideas. And so if you look at many Caribbean people, they are asking their leaders for really simple things like, delivery or action, accountability, cooperation, and a strong Caribbean nation. Because you see, the future of the region will not only be decided in government buildings, it will also be decided by whether these leaders and the people can build together. I don't know what you think about this particular topic of ours today. Kindly comment down below. Let us know what you think about the video. I really appreciate if you go down below there and tell us what you think about the video today. So I truly appreciate your presence. I thank you so much that you've come here, you've always supported us. I don't take it for granted. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao. I love you guys.